Because it was called 1080.
Yeah, but it's just weird. It's weird.
And then 2160.
I hate what you're saying. It just sounds like math.
Well, think of...
Stop.
No, I'm going to show you.
I hate it so much. I hate it so much already. I hate it.
You posed the question.
But I regret it instantly. I retract my statement.
Okay.
I wasn't...
Essentially...
I was expecting you to be annoyed with the question as I was, and then you had legit answers.
Like an actual answer?
But you spoke to me as if you were talking to me in code, and I don't like that.
I literally...
You were just like,
I said 1080?
1080, 2160, math. You came at me with math.
I came at you with numbers.
Never answer a question that I have with math. And you did it. That's what you did. That's what you fucking did.
Okay. I will never...
I don't care about what
Ask me it
4K
again.
means. I don't care what 4K means anymore.
No, ask me again. Ask me to
What
never
happened
do
to 1 through 3K, Brian? What happened to 1 through 3K?
No, I'm not. Never mind. It's fine.
Thank God. That's all I've ever wanted to live, is in perfect, blissful harmony. That's
okay.
it.
No, yeah, you're absolutely right.
Thank
I will
you.
never answer any of your questions with math.
Thank you. God damn.
10-4.
I hate that.
I got it.
I hate that so much. And then someone will just throw a random fucking letter in there. You can't just throw math in an abbreviated letter. I hate that. It's such
What are you talking about?
When people like give
4K? It's literally und number and und letter.
What the fuck does the K mean?
1,000.
So it means something.
Yes.
Okay, so then it's an abbreviated letter.
Yes.
I hate that, is what I'm trying to say.
You hate it.
I
You
hate
hate
it.
abbreviated
I hate
letters.
Next
What's
to
your
math.
name?
What's
your name?
Math. Next to math. Just JP.
J-
That's it.
P.
But
It stands for
there's
something, doesn't it?
There's no math next to it.
It sounds like you have something
I'm not giving
against
you
the letter K.
I'm not giving you an equation. Right? And my answer is
4K is not an equation.
Yes, it is. The 4 is a numeral, is a number, right?
Yeah.
And the K is an abbreviated letter, correct?
Uh-huh.
And it's not even
That's not an equation.
Yes, it is.
No,
It's
it's
a fucking
not.
equation. I hate it.
It's literally 4K.
I hate it so much because it means more
JP.
than you just. It's stupid. I hate it. Just say, hey, this picture quality is really, really, really good. How many reallys? It's 4 reallys. Okay, then that's all I need to know. It's not 4R. It's just really, 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 really good. I hate math with math with an abbreviated letter, because then I have to figure out what the fuck the math means, and then I gotta figure out what the fuck the abbreviated letter is. And what's even worse about the K is the K isn't even the beginning letter of what it's abbreviated for. So now the abbreviation doesn't even match up to the letter itself.
You know where it comes from?
Fucking tell me.
It's Greek lettering.
4?
So
K. So now I have to know.
it's Roman numerals.
Now it doesn't even break down. It's not K. Doesn't even start with the abbreviation. But now I gotta know fucking Greek. So I have to know Greek, and it doesn't match up to the letter. The abbreviation doesn't match up. So the abbreviation doesn't make sense unless you understand a completely different fucking language. And then you throw a fucking number next to it. Do you see where my frustration comes from with how fucking stupid that is?
No.
Thank you. Welcome to this episode of Baka Bois.
I'm already aggravated.
Yeah, because what you said is so dumb, and it's finally getting to you.
I'm upset that my co-host is literally upset about a single letter and a single number.
It's what those single letters
and you called it an equation.
It is a fucking equation.
Where are we in space? It's 3D. Are you upset about that? Is that an equation?
Only because I understand the fourth dimension, sure. Because the way you can't understand a 2-dimensional plane without living in a third dimension, but you don't fully understand the third dimension unless you live in the fourth dimension. This is actually science. There's scientific proof. So when you bring up 3D, three dimension, and also I'd like to point out that D actually is the first letter in the word dimension, so it fucking makes sense. Whereas
Hold on
4K
with the table.
doesn't. Just saying.
K means 1,000.
Oh, that's crazy. Why didn't they use the word T?
Because 1,000 didn't exist in Rome.
Why the fuck didn't we change it later on? We changed so much other shit.
Everything. I don't even know where to start on that question, dude.
Why don't you just start arguing with me in the fourth
I'm
dimension?
not going to argue with you. I'm not going to stoop to your level about this. I'm not going to be upset about 4K. I'm not. It's not going to happen.
I'm not upset about it. It's just stupid.
6 minutes ago, you were complaining about why is a number next to a letter?
That doesn't make sense. Welcome to this episode of Baka Bois. So we got asked a question earlier about what to do during the slow season.
Yeah.
And how to operate during that. And so that's what we're going to talk about on this episode of Baka Bois.
Start it off, please. You have so much to say.
I'm not going to, I have to like recalibrate my brain. Because I made a really solid point earlier.
You did.
I did. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it was something that was good.
So, the slow season of 2023.
Yes.
We got asked a really good question about that. We did notice a lot of artists that were slower during that season.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess like the question was, what do we do during the slow season to stay busy, and what are suggestions that we can give to people?
There's a lot of factors that go into it, and there's not one answer. The amount of like time you need to honestly put into this question, but also like you have to kind of figure yourself out before like any of this. Like, what am I trying to say? I don't like. So, you have to like get to the root of.
So let's break it down in stages.
Okay.
So,
please, because I'm having trouble.
When we've had this, Brian and I have had this discussion, and like, I break it down in stages. So the stage one is your foundation stage, which is doing good tattoos, making sure that your tattoos are solid, like the composition's on point, line work's on point, color theory, color packing, all of that is on point. Build that strong foundation. The second part is how you present that. So how you put it out there. There are people who are against, CPL, filtered light, all that kind of stuff, and taking good pictures of their tattoos. I said, get over that. Figure out what that is. How do you take consistent, good photos of your tattoos so that you can present them to the world in the best way? I've seen a lot of good tattooers not know how to do that, and unfortunately, your
it
perception
affects their work.
Yeah, it affects not. I was gonna say reflect and affect at the same time, so I said reflect. But a potential client may not know how to break down the artistic process, but they can tell like a fundamental difference between good and bad. Mm-hmm. They may not know why one thing is good or one thing is bad, but they can look and go, that's good, this isn't, this is where I want to put my money. So presentation of your work is incredibly important. So I think that's stage 2. And then stage 3 is marketing. Mm-hmm. I think that how you market yourself and how you market your work is very important. It opens up an avenue for being creative. But I think that where a lot of artists tend to cap out is in that stage. Like especially nowadays where people are like, social media is expecting you to be an influencer, yeah. And it doesn't hold your hand in any like aspect of that. Mm-hmm. And I think people, cap out at that
spot because they've already worked so hard to be where they're at. And then for them to be like on the cusp of something, and then it's never a clear-cut answer for social media. So they're like, I have all these answers. I can be an amazing tattoo artist. I know how to take pictures and present all of this well. And then all of that was because of them. Like they are the ones that made themselves they've made themselves to the best of their ability. They've made this tattoo to the best of their ability. And then they have to give it to social media, and it's, whether it does good or bad, it's completely out of their hands. So I feel like a lot of people struggle with that because it's like, I feel like I deserve more than what I get sometimes.
Yeah, it can be discouraging.
It's super discouraging, especially if you're doing something that you love. But to literally give it to put it in the hands of big Instagram or Meta or whatever, and you have to essentially rely on that rather than relying on yourself. And I think that's why there's like a little bit of a disconnect with that stage 3.
So the thing that I've noticed with marketing that I think a lot of people are kind of messing up with is it's about adaptability. Like the algorithm's changing a lot faster than anything that humans have ever grown used to. So when you go to college, the one thing that you did, the one thing that you learned and how you apply it, you're like, I know this is going to work for at least my lifetime, And nowadays that's not the case anymore. It might last for 2 months. It might last for 2 weeks. Whatever you're applying now, it's good if it works for a couple months, but likely it's going to last for a few weeks. So I think that's the hard part, is adapting to that, is knowing that how quick that change happens.
Yeah.
And I think that we have a lot of folks right now, and something that I saw a lot in like November, December of 2023, because it's the slowest season. And I'll digress here in a second so that people who don't know what's going on can understand what happened at the end of 2023. Actually, I'll just go ahead and digress it now. So for those of you who don't know, in 2023, there was a pretty big slow season for a lot of tattooers.
Yeah.
And
it affected everyone, including larger tattoo artists.
Yeah, there's even some like mid to bigger names that were kind of affected by this. And so I sat back and I studied. I was really curious to kind of see what I was noticing, like what trends were happening and stuff like that. And so to dial back a few years before that, COVID happened, and you have a lot of tattooers that kind of popped off during COVID. Anime and pop culture tattooing and stuff really popped off before that. There were pop culture and anime tattoo artists, but it didn't seem like it popped off super hard until after COVID. So there is this sort of gold rush to it where you had a lot of tattooers that weren't doing anime that all of a sudden were doing anime. And then you had a lot of new up-and-comer tattooers that jumped in on it. So now there's a whole fresh batch of clientele. And at first, they're like, anyone who will do an anime tattoo, I just want to get tattooed. And then they started getting pickier as they started seeing kind of what the anime pop culture tattoo world looked like. And so they started being choosier about their tattoo artists. It was cool at first, but I think one of the unfortunate trends that I saw happening was like when somebody's post wasn't doing well, I saw people think, well, I've done enough. I put it out there. I did the thing, and it's not doing well. Now you guys, the audience, help me. Comment, post it, share it, boost it.
And we've all done it, but like I feel like relying on it might be
like you can't rely on it. Like that's the sucky thing, is like if you put so much power into something so shaky as, if it's only powerful if other people kind of help you out and scratch your back, you need to figure something out. You need to figure out a way to bring it back where, you know, how you put it out is where it gets the engagement organically.
Yeah. Because you can't rely on those.
It's a Band-Aid issue.
Yeah. I could see that.
So you might help out from 1 or 2 posts, but if you become too dependent on that, how people will view you from the other side is like, this guy constantly needs people to boost him, to get attention.
And I'm going to be completely honest with you. The amount of times, because there are certain artists, I'm not going to obviously name any names, but there are certain artists that do rely. Like, it's okay if like I just post a piece and then I go on my story. I'm like, hey, like, comment, do what you got to do.
Yeah, do your thing if you can.
Yeah, but there are certain times where I see artists that they're like, oh, please, this is, you know, the one thing I need. If you guys could just like really push this, blah, blah, blah. And they'll make that post every single time that they post or every single time that they feel like their engagement is dipping or whatever. And the more often I see it, the less I'm willing to give.
Yeah.
So if I once in a blue moon see somebody that's like, hey, this would be really awesome if you guys could push this, I'll be like, all right, yeah, whatever. But if I see the same name doing the same thing over and over again, maybe I'll do it. I'll probably do it the first time. I might do it the second time. And then the more often you ask, you're going to get less and less people to like, oh, yeah, I'll do that for you again.
It's important to note too that is a part of your parasocial relationship with your audience. If you become a needy friend, your friends won't want to hang out with you too much. If you are constantly needing something from them to boost you, and you have to kind of keep in mind that your audience, your parasocial relationship with your audience is kind of that. It's an extension of that, except you don't know anything about them, but they know so much about you. And so if your audience starts to see you as, you know, that needy friend, they're less likely to stick with you. And you don't know anything about it because you don't know them the way that they know you. So kind of nurturing that parasocial relationship and having a sort of awareness of like how you're approaching it is really important. So I think that's something to keep in mind when you're approaching these kinds of things. The other thing I've noticed too, like as a further extension, is an unwillingness in some regards, not in all. I don't want to have anyone come at me and attack me for this, but I'll see a lot of people that are like, I only do this one kind of tattoo. That's it. And if I can't do this one kind of tattoo, then I'm not tattooing. I'm not making money. It's a slow season, and this sucks. So there's zero willingness
to adapt.
In some, not all, to adapt. If you're a good tattooer, you do good line work, you have good composition, you know what you're doing. In those slow seasons, maybe take a few tattoos that you're not stoked about doing because you know you can do them well and you know it will pay your bills. But I see some people and they're just like, I don't understand, the well's dried up, anime's too saturated and stuff like that. And I'm like, that can be true, but you're still a good tattooer. You know, you're still capable of doing other things. So something that you and I know we talked about was like, draw up the tattoos you want to do. Even if you have to do it for free, if you genuinely think in your head, you're like, look, if I could do this tattoo at my full creative potential on a friend or a family member's, you know, and then put that out there, then fucking do it. You know, do that tattoo for free. And you've got experience. You just recently did this.
I literally just started doing that because there was a couple of times where I had the itch to do black and gray pieces. I'm normally known for my full color, but I really wanted to do black and gray, you know, a few times to show people that I want to do more of this. But I had no evidence on my Instagram. There's no like my entire portfolio is just color. So for me to be like, hey, I want to do a black and gray piece, come get it. Nobody's going to be like, you could do black and gray.
You get what you put out.
Exactly. You get what you advertise. So I picked a couple of pieces that I really wanted to do, and I gave 2 free tattoos because I just wanted it on my portfolio to show that I can do black and gray. You know, I did a Charizard, a Gyarados. I even did a realistic owl. I'm like, hey, I'm probably not going to do this often, but just to toss another net out there.
Show,
and
don't
help.
tell.
Correct. It's like instead of telling you that I can do this, I'm just going to show you.
Yep.
And most people are visual learners like that, and they're going to gravitate towards that rather than me saying like, "Oh, I want to do an American traditional or whatever," and then you have no evidence showing that you have the ability to do that. So, I would suggest if you really wanted to get into another, not medium, but another way of tattooing. Your first couple tattoos, probably either do heavy discount or free, and just do them on your friends, family, whatever, whoever is willing to be your test subject. So
Yeah, so that's like, so during the slow season, so we're very fortunate that we've worked our way into a position where it's like the slow season doesn't hit us as hard. And I think there's a lot of factors that play into that, as a strong foundation, presenting your tattoos well, marketing, and then booking styles and stuff like that to make sure that you're booked that far out. But some of the other factors like working into that is just is just kind of like an awareness of how all of those things work in conjunction with each other. A lot of tattooers just want to go in, do a tattoo, be done with it, go home, post it, have clientele. And then when they see where we're at with our careers, and they're like, well, I want to be as booked as you guys, but I don't want to do all the extra stuff that you guys do. And it's like, well, that extra stuff
is how we got here.
Is how I can stay booked out, So I was like, the extra stuff is necessary. But that's work outside of tattooing and drawing tattoos and stuff like that, but it all works in tandem with each other. So
marketing is going to be is kind of the name of the game. This generation, a lot of people attribute word of mouth as like the be all end all of advertising, and that's just not the case anymore. Word of mouth is incredible. It's an incredible tool to have in your tool belt. But when it comes to social media, I don't even feel like anything else comes close to advertising for yourself.
I agree for the most part, but I still think that ground level networking is super, super important.
It's very important.
Let
me rephrase this, because when it comes to just posting and essentially commercializing your business and trying to get your name out there, when you are a tattooer and you want more clientele, I feel like social media is the name of the game. When you want to network with other artists and other companies that, or sponsors or anything like that, I feel like having a face in front of, like being face to face with them at conventions or whatever, I think word of mouth might fare better. For that.
I see in-person word of mouth as being like a strong foundation. So back when I was in a band, something that was always really important, it didn't matter how many plays you got on MySpace, that's what it was back then. You needed a strong local group of people to show up to your shows to get any of the attention of the people that matter, the people that can change your life or your career. So you needed that. So I think when I do local stuff, and I gave you an example where a dude that I tattooed 5 or 6 years ago, remembered who I was. He works with band stuff or whatever, and because I gave him a good experience back then, this is before I ever even printed my first T-shirt, that carried over. But how you present yourself, how you network, and how kind you are is something that will resonate throughout your career, and you just kind of plant those seeds everywhere, and even if 98% of them don't turn out to be anything, it's that 2% that really fucking matters. Because a lot of the cool shit that I get to do in life, I've gotten to do because I'm a very kind, bubbly person to everybody I meet, and then like that 2% of people that latched onto that, like they're like, oh man, he's a really cool guy to work with. He's easygoing. Like, let's bring him on board. But I see people that focus entirely on social media presence, and then don't focus on that. And then I see what's happening behind the scenes and like the local aspect of it and what's being said about certain people on the local level. And it's like you have no local support or almost no local support. You have social media support, but are these people going to show up in real life to do what you're, anything you're promoting? Like, let's see what that turnout is. And you see it all the time with like people that become like TikTok famous, and then they're like, oh, I'm going to go do like a signing event, or a TikTok famous band will show up to go do a show, and then like 20 people show up. And it's like, you didn't work on the local level. You completely ignored the local level.
Yeah, I guess, I can see that being a huge tool. I still think social media just edges it out. But
social media is for numbers, I think, a lot of numbers, but yeah.
Yeah, but word of mouth does, like I said at the beginning, I'm not discounting it. It is a huge tool to have.
Both can be true.
But yes, both can be true. So I totally get that. But in order to do that, I feel like, so that was stage 3.
Yeah, that's the
marketing.
Marketing, yeah.
But if you're not going to take stage 2 correctly, which is presentation.
Presentation is super important. You can't market
shit.
You can't market bad. It's hard to market bad presentation.
Yeah.
So
I can't tell you how many times, like when I was like house hunting or whatever, and I can't tell you how many times I'm on like Zillow or Apartment, whatever the fuck app it is. And I'm like, oh, there's a house in this area that I kind of like. And I click it and the pictures are god awful. And everything looks dingy. I don't even like past like the first 2 photos. I'm like, I don't even care what the rest of the house looks like. Like you took shit photos, so I feel like you're living a shit life.
Yep.
So I'm like,
dude,
this is the best you got. Then the house that's just not for me. Bad vibes. You know what I mean? And it's the same with tattoos, where you have, you could be an incredible artist, but you don't care for your presentation. Then it's just like a bad smudge on your work. You know what I mean? Regardless if you do clean tattoos or not. Because I've seen, I'm going to shout him out, but our friend Artie is an incredible artist. One of the best anime artists out there.
I would definitely put him up there in, like, for me, the top 5. Like, his original artwork is fucking incredible.
Phenomenal.
Like, yeah.
Incredible. Artie, you're amazing. You take god-awful photos. Like, I'm going to be real. He's gotten better. But, like, when I first started looking at his work, and I'm like, oh, it's good, but why? Something's off. You know what I mean? And I'm like, and then I see his work in front of me, like a physical form of his work, and I'm like, oh my God, this looks way better in person.
Yeah, his composition is fucking crazy, dude. I love Artie's work. If you're not following Artie, you 1,000% should be. Like, he's definitely the dude to be watching out for. For me, he's been the dude to watch out for like 2 years now. Like
100%. He's definitely like one of the best. Like I said, one of the best artists. But thankfully, he's working on his photography skills. But like, you have somebody on that caliber, is what I'm trying to say. Is you have somebody on that caliber that's busting out incredible works of art, and then you still have like, it's almost feels lackluster when you don't give that piece its due service when it comes to presentation. So taking amazing pictures, like having the tools available so you can take those good pictures and and showcase what you have. That's why, like, you go into a car dealership and they have the best of the best under the best lights in the best environment because you want to see the best at its best.
The presentation, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Present it
like that's how you like. They'll have like cars in the back lot from other companies, and we're like, oh yeah, they have this, but this, and they show you the showroom floor.
You're like, these lights cost $20,000. That's how much we want you to buy this car
to pay off the lights. You know what I mean? But that's kind of it. Like I've seen countless people that detest like CPL lenses on for photographs. And I'm like, use the technology to your advantage. It's gonna take better photos because it gets, for those who don't know what a CPL lens is, it's literally just a lens you put on your phone camera and it just gets rid of the glare. It gets rid of the glare and it shows the colors as the true colors.
Mm-hmm. Fully saturated.
Saturated and everything. If you suck at like color packing, it will magnify.
That's what I always thought
the inconsistencies
is when people would rip on the CPL lens and the filtered light, is they're like, oh, it's like cheating, and I'm like, no. If anything, it's gonna expose where you fucked up the most.
Yes,
like it will make an excellent tattoo remain looking excellent, but if your color packing's off or anything like that, it won't let you hide behind anything. And what's really funny is I've seen on some tattooers, I will never say names of this, I won't call anyone out specifically, but I've seen people where I could tell where they went through and they used the blender tool on Procreate.
Oh, to kind of like take out smut or...
It's even crazier that you would do that on a picture that you CPL lens, because I'm like, all right, so right here I could see the pores of the tattoo, but here it's just like
flat color.
It's just butter, like no pores. Yeah. And I'm like, ah.
So yeah, use CPL lenses with the polarized film that you can put on lights. So you want to make this shit look the best it can look, you know? You can't just rely on shit lighting to show off what you, like I've seen so many, you know, Instagrams of people that are like, oh, this is my work. And it's like a dimly lit, like tattoo studio. And then they have like a phone light or something like that. And then they take a picture. And I'm like, what is this? You look like you're tattooing in a garage.
So, to help to answer what to do during the slow season.
I'm sorry. I'm not. Jesus. I'm not like calling people out personally, but like get your shit together. I'm just kidding.
for the slow season, my suggestions are this: like, look at your work, look at your foundation. Like, where are your tattoos at? Are they on par with what you think clients are going to want to come in to buy? And then look at your presentation. When I go to your Instagram, like, how consistent are the photos? How good do the photos of your tattoos look? So that's number 2. And then number 3, marketing, I think is super important. Like, how do you market yourself and how do you relate to your audience or your potential audience? It's really important. Parasocial relationships are something to always be mindful and considerate of. I know that for a long time, that topic has been a weird one for a lot of people, but in a social media age, parasocial relationships are not only common, but it's the norm, you know? And so nurture that. How do you talk to your audience? What language do you use? Like, how do you say things so that your audience knows that you're sincere and passionate about what you do? So
they look for humans.
Yeah.
We're all human.
Like, you know? And so keep all of that stuff in mind when you're approaching social media, because I think the way that people approach social media is they're still thinking in like 2010, where they're like, oh, it's just a tool. I just throw my shit up and I don't care. And I'm like, you should care. You should care a lot. It's
it's your business.
it's an extension of yourself. You know, it's not just how you advertise your art. It's how you advertise you. It's how you put yourself out there. Now, do I think these are all easy ways of fixing the slow season? No. That's a social media approach to it. Now, a physical workload approach to the slow season is, all right, you're slow, you don't have a lot going on, take advantage of the free time that you have.
Yeah.
Like, draw designs you think people will want, and then if you're like, okay, if I don't think my tattoos are where they should be, study, ask people. I mean, Brian and I are super helpful. We've talked to a lot of people.
Yeah, we're essentially open books, so whatever you want to ask, we will answer it to the best of our abilities.
If I see your DM, I'm not actively ignoring people. I just want to say that. Like,
he sucks at DM. He barely answers my texts. I'm more open with DMs. However, there's a request folder, and then there's a hidden request folder.
Yeah.
On Instagram, and I always forget about that. And every single time I like go on Instagram, I do forget about that. And sometimes they're just genuine questions.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh,
it's not people. We've talked about this last time where people are just trying to sell you shit, or it's porn.
Yeah, it's porn, P-Pax or Amalia, which again, fuck you guys. I'm not taking your shit. Or a genuine question from either a tattoo artist or somebody who wants to get a tattoo.
But so ultimately, we're here to help you guys. Like, I think
it's almost like they have a place to go ask people things. Wow.
If you want
Google, they can go to Google.
No, if you want to ask us questions or anything like that, we have a Discord down below. Link is down below for the Discord.
Yeah.
We're terrible at advertising the Discord stuff.
They have a place to ask y'all questions.
Rather than relying on the DMs.
Someone will make sure we actually answer them so the questions
get answered on the thing. Okay.
I like it. So we will answer your questions.
We will answer your questions.
Because someone will be twisting our arm.
Yes. And if you have a question, post it in our Discord down below. Thank you.
But yeah, no, I think like address those 4 steps. Try to look at what you like. Look at the areas you think you could have work on. Like if it's the foundation where you're like, I just need to do cooler tattoos or better tattoos, then like focus on that. If you think that presentation is your weak point, focus on that. But I think that the main thing is just adapting to these kinds of things. Something Brian and I talked about was why this 2023's slow season might feel slower than the other slow seasons. Mm-hmm. And I think that there was so during COVID, I think a lot of people, in a good way, they found their independence. They discovered anime. They got more into pop culture and stuff.
A lot of time to read manga and watch anime when you had nothing better to do.
And I think that there is something that happened there. And so there is this huge blow up, and then paying off student loans was put on hold. Taxes were a lot more lenient. People had COVID money. Mm-hmm. And so I think that there is this huge boom in tattooing. From where I'm sitting, I noticed a huge boom in anime tattooing. So I'm coming from that perspective, but that's what happens. So then everybody all of a sudden want to be an anime tattooer, which isn't a bad thing, but I think I could see where I was like, this is going to get oversaturated. It's going to be a bubble. It's going to eventually pop. Mm-hmm. And it's not so much that like the anime well has dried up or the pop culture well has dried up. It's just that it's leveling itself out now.
Yeah, the people that put all their eggs in one basket and weren't really trying to climb that high, they're getting weeded out essentially.
Mm-hmm. And now you have to work for it. Whereas I think there's a time not saying you didn't have to work for it, but I think that a lot of people were able to just go, oh, I do an anime tattoo, and then like they got business, you know? And then now it's starting to level itself out, and then the clientele is being a little choosier about who they go to as a tattooer. There's a bit more research. There's anime tattooing's been around for long enough now that like people are able to pinpoint their favorite artists and go, I want to go for this person specifically. So I think to a certain extent it's leveling itself out. And then on the other end of it, I think that with everything that's going on with like politics, the economy, the crazy shit going on in the world, like inflation, obviously all of that plays a part into it as well. So how do you have a voice in a world that, you know, the gap between who's making money and who isn't is ever widening, and then also making a name in an industry that is heavily saturated, and so that's where you start putting the extra work outside of just the tattooing aspect, and you start focusing on social media, parasocial relationships, and marketing and presentation and all that.
And yeah, that's pretty much it. And if all else fails, honestly, there are other mediums to make an income that could tie in with your art. And a lot of people, including myself, including JP, especially with JP and his band merch, there's like he needs there are more avenues to make income, and I feel like if you work on that, like work on art on the side and make stickers or posters or T-shirts or anything like that to make your own merch, that could be another avenue that could alleviate some financial pain that you might be feeling during the slow season. So work on merch. That's another
Yeah, be
good
resourceful,
thing.
be
Yeah.
adaptive. If you have free time, utilize that free time. Like I love doing that. I mean, you know, I don't. All I do is draw. That's it. That's like all my free time is
which is
pretty much
absolutely
drawing.
it's nuts to me that you like the
Oh, I
amount of
love
time that
it.
you spend doing that.
So yeah, like put yourself out there. I mean, like if I didn't constantly put myself out there, I wouldn't have the opportunities that I do now. But I have a passion for making merch. So I did skateboards, T-shirts, stickers, pins. I got in the keychains, just kind of everything. And then, but I did it because I had a passion for it. But what was really cool is while I have a passion for this thing to do it, it's also advertising now to a lot of brand managers, bands, merchandise managers to like, oh, he can do this. So he has the skills to do a cool graphic that uses 4 colors, 7 colors, and they're gonna go, you know what you're doing. We don't have to explain it to you. Like, this is what we want. I make it for him. I send it out. There's a good bit of luck that plays into some of that stuff, but it won't happen for you if you don't put yourself out there for it to happen. So, hopefully, what I want to teach is that, like, I've been where a lot of you guys are at right now, like where I'm doing every style of tattoo. It's hard to book out, and I sat down and I was like, all right, how can I do this? How can I get better at all of these stages so that I can create a sort of world for myself that I want to work within? And then how do I nurture that and continue to have that moving forward? And so hopefully with everything that we've said, like I hope this is helpful, genuinely. Like I want to see other people prosper and do well. And like I hope none of it comes off as like
Pretentious.
Like,
Yeah.
like I was like, just know that
we genuinely care.
we do care. We do want to see you guys do well. And like,
Yeah.
that's why I break it down in stages, because I have some people thinking like, oh, I'm just not good at marketing. And then I'm like, well, okay, there are some things you can work on with your tattoo work, and that's stage 1. And stage 1 is the most important stage, which is making sure you're doing good tattoos that look good and also heal out well. So that's coming back because that's a constant advertisement. And so some people got to focus on stage 1, but they're focused on stage 3. They're focused on marketing, and
You can't put everything on shaky foundation.
Yeah, they think that I can outmarket a tattoo. Some people may have, but you got to do a good tattoo first. Your foundation is the most important piece. I wouldn't stress the next few stages until you've really, really got a good product, and then focus on presentation and marketing and parasocial relationships outside of that.
Yes, and on top of that, I will say that people don't normally help with, like, this is to tag on to the word of mouth thing that I said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't normally occur when you have an awesome tattoo. The only time for a lot of things, the only time people talk about your stuff is if it's shit. Like when you go on Yelp or whatever. Like if you have an amazing time at a restaurant, I'd be like, man, that was a great restaurant. Am I going to write a review about it? Probably not, because that's just the kind of the kind of person that I am, and the kind of people that most people are. They'll have an awesome time. They'll probably tell their immediate circle, but they won't like put it out there and be like, this was the greatest steak I've ever had or whatever. You have a really terrible time, and the Karens start coming out of the woodwork, and they will let not only their immediate circle, but they'll let everybody know how shit the experience was. And it's the same thing with tattoos. And that starts at your foundation. You have an incredible tattoo that you did. You're going to attract a good amount of people, and they'll again tell their immediate circle. But you have a shit tattoo, or you gave them shit service, or like they didn't appreciate the area that you were tattooing. It's something that they could detract. They will harp on that aspect, and they'll tell as many people as they possibly can. And that all starts with your foundation. So if you are constantly putting out tattoos that are not on par with what you should be putting out, you'll get less and less clientele because they'll start telling everybody around you.
Yeah, people look at those heel outs,
And heel outs are yes and no for heel outs, because it's not 100% on the artist.
No, which is fair. That's fair. I will say that.
Yeah. So like
it does help when it healed out really well.
Yes.
The one of the other things I want to point out to you that's super important. I think a lot of artists don't. Okay, not a lot of artists. I think that there's a level of importance that we don't put on the clientele as much as the industry should. For a long time, tattooers, not all tattooers, but there was a long time where tattooers were known as like rock stars, like drinking, drugs, like
had a very negative stigma.
Yeah, they're kind of rude, and you always would hear stories about artists like they didn't talk to me, they're mean, like all these kinds of things. And back then, the tattooing industry was so niche that like you could kind of get away with being an asshole because there wasn't a lot of other places you could go. And nowadays, that's not the case at all. And the client experience is incredibly important. And the clients keep that in mind. How were they treated? Because now that they have access to social media, if you're mean, there's still other good tattooers that can do similar to what you can. And if they're already willing to fly out and get a hotel and go to these other places, you should be really kind to them and appreciate that they want to give you their time and money. And so I guess my suggestion for that, and this is something that Brian and I have already we incorporate into what we do, is like we having snacks and drink and like Gatorade and water is like that's what you should do. But we also buy our clients lunch. We give our clients like stuff to take care of their tattoos. I personally make a box that's got like stickers,
doodads,
just a bunch of cool shit, just like a gift box that says like, hey, thank you for getting tattooed by me.
Yeah. I don't do that. Fuck you guys.
But something Brian and I do too is like, we hang out with our clients and we make them feel like they're on an episode of Baka Boys, and we don't even plan it. It just happens. We just naturally they're a part of the conversation as much as we're a part of it. They're, we make sure everybody feels a part of what's happening. So optimizing the client experience even before they come to you. And another important one, so with just filling out the booking inquiry, make it as simple as possible to fill that out. And then they send it in, and then have somebody who's on top of responding to to everybody. So then that way your experience with us from the very inception of it is good. And then even through the
Right to
tattoo
the very
experience and then even the heal out experience, you can reach out to our assistants and they will stop us whatever we're doing to make sure we answer questions. So your whole experience from start to finish, from booking through tattooing to healing out, you're taken care of. That's the most important thing that you can do, is like make sure the client knows that you've invested back into them what they've invested into you.
Yeah,
And
you
so
would never
appreciating that.
You would never go to like one burger joint or whatever, and as soon as you get shit service, there's like 30 other burger joints in the area. You're like, okay, well, I'm gonna go over there. It's kind of like
check this out.
It's kind of like Dunkin' Donuts. Y'all suck. Dunkin' Donuts sucks. Tea time with BeeRye right now. I ordered a fucking chai tea latte.
This is tea time and it's like a coffee place. But yeah.
I ordered a chai tea latte like a year ago. I haven't forgotten about it. That's how shit it is.
Dunkin' Donuts does have the worst coffee. Like,
yeah, Starbucks is.
And I tried. I fucking tried.
I know
with
you
Dunkin'
tried because you
Donuts.
tried to like get on their good side, like all the employees, because you would go there like personally or something like that.
I accepted that the first 3 or 4 visits would be terrible, but I was like, if I'm there enough, I'm kind enough, I tip, and I'm like, hey, you know, and I'm always nice about when they fuck up my drink, which is every single time, that maybe they'd fix it up. And then at time 5 or 6, I was like, these high school assholes,
They don't give a shit about you.
a shit, dude.
Yeah.
They don't care about making this good. They don't like. Whether I leave a $0 tip or a $4 tip on a single drink, they don't give a fuck. Dude.
No.
So I was like, all right.
There was one time I got a
Starbucks. It is.
I got a chai tea latte, which is my order, and it's nothing special. It's literally chai tea. Maybe I'll get it with oat milk. That'll be my one like substitute or whatever. I get it from these fucks, and they give me like just it tasted like watered down milk with sand on the bottom. Like it tasted like milk with like, and they just took a handful of sand and then just put it in my
powder.
cup.
That's what it is. The chai tea powder.
It like they didn't even mix it. It didn't dissolve or whatever. So like I put the straw in, or no, I didn't. Who puts a fucking straw? No, wait. I think it was an iced chai tea, and I put the straw in, and I just got a mouthful of that
Wet
powder.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is disgusting. You guys fucking suck, and I'm never going to you guys again. That's what I mean
you
about
didn't even mention their dry ass donuts.
your namesake, Dunkin' Donuts.
Let me dip this solid dry into this wet dry.
Yo, my chai tea, it was wet and dry. You know what it tastes? It's like their chai was made of like that fucking, the moon sand that you would get at like Walmart or whatever.
Yeah.
That's how because like you put it in and it looks wet and then you take it out and it's completely dry. That's what it was.
It's like, where do you guys get your chai tea powder? The beach. What do you mean? Oh, we scoop it up, we throw some chai sugar in there and
then that'll be it.
And I'd be like, I believe you. That's why. So when you mix it, it just all goes back down to the bottom. So you do try to mix it.
Yeah.
Where were we?
What I'm saying is presentation's great. And if you have shit presentation like Dunkin' Donuts,
Don't be Dunkin' Donuts.
go nuts
Not for Dunkin' Donuts.
for Starbucks or something.
Go nuts for Starbucks, not Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah. Yeah, Starbucks
God,
is
we're
way
rappers.
better.
I am. I gave you credit. You didn't deserve it. I'm a rapper.
Damn, okay. But yeah, don't be a douche to your clients. They're the people that pay your bills.
Yeah, be kind to everybody that you meet. You never know how it could come back or affect you. Even if 99% of it doesn't come back, that 1% will really matter. And that's where some of that luck-based, success can happen. So be kind, focus on good tattoos. And then like another good one too is like if you're slow, drop a bunch of flash, just throw that shit up constantly, dude. And even if you have to take a hit on it, like if doing the tattoo is going to bolster your portfolio, do the tattoo.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
I gotta pee.
Yeah, I think that's about it for this episode anyway. But it was that was
Bye,
a
I'm
big,
JP Tron Walker. I have to pee.
okay. That's JP Tron Walker on Instagram. I'm BeeRye Tattoos on Instagram, and you can follow us on the Baka Bois Instagram. Don't forget about I hope the mic is picking up his piss. Is it picking up the piss? It is. It's amazing. And don't forget about our Discord. Link is down below. And yeah, that's it. See you guys.